Ahoy friends, welcome back to Building the Alpha Dory. I'm Dan, and this is a project to build a 1860s era racing dory along the lines of William Chamberlain, recorded by John Gardner in his Dory book, illustrated by Sam Manning. So today we're hoping to get out into the shop and get the transom assembled, so that way when we put the stem on the boat, then the stern will be ready to nail on immediately after. So what we want to get is that stern assembly put together. It's just two pieces. So now let's get to it. So first off, really quick, we sanded the inside of the transom and the outside to kind of clean it up. It's too wide to go through the planer I've got. So we gotta, before we start working on the stern knee, I want to find the center line so that I'll be able to align the stern knee on the transom in regard to the center of the transom. So that's pretty easy to do with the, since the bottom of the transom is pointy, so we know where the center line is going to be down here. It's going to be right here. There's actually a little bit of the line left. We can mark it, and then so we got to find the center of the transom up there. Now if the triangle of the transom, if that top edge of the transom was cut parallel across, then it would be simple, just measure across that distance, find half of it, and draw the line. But it's not a parallel cut, so it wouldn't be the center of the transom, and it's pretty important that that we get the center line exactly, because that's how we're gonna that's how we're gonna make the boat square. So just I've got a very simple, you could do the same thing with a set of dividers spread open. Just a little simple geometry. I'll strike an arc on here, the radius of which is centered on the center line, and then I can measure from where the arc comes off this side and where the arc comes off that side, and I know these will be perpendicular to the center line. This line will be. So I've got 8 3/4 inches. So I know that the center line is going to be at 4 1 2 3/8 inches. Alright, so once I've got that mark on there, now I know where the center line is, and I can use any straight edge to strike that line. And this is this line is on the inside of the transom, which we know is going to get painted anyway, so I'm not too concerned about making a line there. I want a nice dark line so that I can see it from up at the bow of the boat, see it easily when I'm trying to use a plumb bob to make sure that all this stuff is all vertical, is all plumb to vertical. So, and then I can actually wrap this around, put a mark on the other side just so I'll have a center line on the other side of the transom. Alright, so the next thing to do is to figure out where we want to end the knee, where we want to nail the knee on the transom. I mean, we don't want it up here because that'll mean the stern of the dory is going to be this wide where the bottom hits it. And we also don't want it down here because then we'll have a little feather edge corner on our transom, and we'll actually have to feather the planking boards. So what we want is for the transom to come down, hit the bottom, and then the bottom to continue for its inch thickness. And at the bottom of that inch, it should pretty much be to a sharp point of the triangle. You know, like the transom is here, it's a point of the triangle, but we want the bottom to do that, so we're going to have to cut the transom off a little bit above that. So this same angle will continue down to make that pointy edge of the bottom. So to figure out how to do that, I've just got a scrap of wood. It's actually one of the cheeks on the bar clamps we had. But I know this is about an inch thick, and you know, that's pretty much where we gotta get to. You know, it's close. We don't have to get exact here. All right, and so what we'll do is we'll this piece of wood will represent the bottom thickness, and so we'll set it on the bottom of our our knee, our transom knee, and then get down, right down on the, so you're viewing parallel to this back of the transom, and then we can slide this stern knee down until we see the outside line of this wood, which represents the thickness of the bottom, cross the point, the sharp triangle point on the transom, and then we'll just make a mark that crosses the center line on the transom. Now this, you know, this knee may not be lined up perfectly, which it isn't, but you know, now we've got a mark. That's the height where this knee will be when the transom is at the right height, with the knee on the bottom to give us a pointy bottom corner to our transom and our bottom. Now the planking is going to be out a little bit wider than that, so we're not going to have like a sharp feather edge on the back of the boat. We're going to have the width of the planking, which is 5/8 inches on either side. The width of the planking will be the size of that pointed end of the transom. So it'll be a little bit over an inch wide at the bottom, which is what we want, because we want the full plank weight, because we want those planks to be nice and strong down there. We don't want them splitting or breaking or cracking or getting worn off easily. But we also don't want a big wide transom down low in the water that's dragging a bunch of water behind the boat. Alright, so now what we can do is strike a center line on this on this transom knee. Just like that. So yeah, there's that center line. This transom knee is just shy of 2 inches. Okay, great. So that was that. All right. So with the center line struck on the transom knee, on these sides of it, what I'm going to do is take that center line and just wrap it up onto the exposed portions of the knee, where I'll be able to see it when it's on the So now I can take this center line that I've wrapped around, I can match it up on this center line here, and I can bring the transom up to this line that we made, which is the height we want it at on the bottom. Alright, you can see that it's up to the line, and the center line is matched up there. Then we can come back down here, and looking underneath we can see this center line, and we can just see the center line that we struck on the transom sticking out, peeking out, and so we can match these two up. Yeah, it's a little bit dark in there too. Let's see if we can... Yeah, so now see we've got the center line on that knee matched up with the center line that's peeking out on the bottom of the transom. So what we'll do is we'll attach this knee right here where it is. We're not going to make any cuts to the transom or anything. This is going to be an offcut, but we're not going to touch anything until we've got this knee fastened securely and firmly to that transom. And the way we'll be going about that is with a combination of rivets and ring nails. So I'll get out the drills and we'll get into that next. Alright, so I got the drill ready to go, and we're pretty much ready to get into it. I just grabbed one of my Woodruff Eagles. Lucky enough to get a couple of these, have a couple of these clamps around. Came from my grandfather's place in Newburyport. He had a lot of really great tools. So, yeah, put this to good use. And, just so, and clamping it up. There goes, got it. Yeah, you don't want anything moving while you're doing the drilling. And once the holes are there, then everything's going to kind of self-center and should be pretty good off. Let's just check these. Yeah, that looks good there. Looking good for our transom. Oh, excuse me, transom height. So we'll shoot a couple holes in here for our long, heavy rivets. And we're just checking it. So if we go through the end of this transom knee will be great. You can actually go back an inch from the knee, and we got plenty of meat to go into. Now it is nice if I can get these rivets to come out parallel, if possible, to the bottom, to the transom. There we go. That's it. That's got it. So now what I can do is go ahead and loosen this clamp up, hit the mating surfaces with a good coat of some of that cuprous oxide, cuprinol. And then we'll rivet the holes we just drilled, and then we'll bang some nails in from the other side. And that should be pretty ideal to hold that right in place where it's needed on the boat. Alright, so looks like we got our wood preservative ready to go. So I'll just give the grain a soak. Good thorough drenching. On both surfaces. Yeah, the white oak is quite rot resistant, which is why it's one of the reasons why it's a favored boat building wood. But it's always nice to have a little wee bit of extra protection, just to keep any moisture out of any. This is right down in the bilge here, where moisture can build up and get into the wood or whatever. So it's nice to just add a little bit. Alright, and so we've got a rivet in there. Now the other thing is, so the wood preservative is a cuprous oxide, which is copper oxide, And then, you know, when you really think about it, the rivets are copper as well. So you've got another antifungal working there. And for the backing block on this section, I'm just using an old discarded offcut of railroad tie here. And what I can do with that is I can actually, since the top of the railroad tie is rounded, I can actually rock it on a flat surface, and then that'll allow this to sit flat on the surface of the transom, so that I'll have the rivet head backed on the steel, by the steel, and I'll know I've got a good contact there, so when I'm riveting, I'm able to shape the rivet, and I'm not just driving it back into the wood. Oh gosh, let's see if I can snag. Here they are. Gotta get my cutters. I've got a couple of sets of these in the shop, just in case I set one down and happen not to be near it at the moment that I need it. Usually there's another one close by. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. Now I'll try and kind of generally line this up here. When the other rivet goes in, it'll, so I've captured that. Now I'll put the other rivet up through, kind of lock her in place. There she goes. You can see the rivets getting in there and really sort of pulling up tight on the yoke. That's pulling that down really tight on the yoke. And you can still tap this back here to get the proper alignment with the center line. I'll go for the other one. And so this is really going to give a lot of strength to the holding power of those nails in the transom. Yeah, the nails can always pull out if you put enough pressure on them. You know, those rings hold really well, and but the rivets will hold even better. They're, you know, a lot like, in function, they're a lot like a bolt, because they have a something wider on the other side of a hole that prevents from, you gotta literally pull them through the wood or break the copper, which hopefully would never happen. It would take quite a bit of force to do that, and at that point the rest of your transom's probably so badly damaged that there's not a whole lot to it left. Alright, so I'll just check to make sure I'm on the center line one more time here. So I got my knee following my center lines on my boat. And the next thing to do is snag that old box of ring nails. I was able to purchase these over at Rose Marine in Gloucester. I believe there's a video coming that isn't out yet on my channel, but it probably will be in the next couple days from today, which will, who knows when that'll be. But anyway, it's the trip to Rose Marine to get these nails. Yeah, so let's go ahead and flip this puppy over. And when we do flip this over, we're also going to want to flip our backing block over. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the, let's see this one. We're going to actually set the knee directly on that curved backing block. And we're going to be nailing from the transom right into this knee. So we'll probably put we'll probably end up putting one nail about here and then maybe another nail here, and so it'll be 2 nails and 2 rivets that are really what's doing the real holding power on this transom. And we can actually tell exactly where, right now, where this transom is going to be cut off by laying a straight edge on what is the bottom of the knee, which will be against the bottom of the boat, and then drawing the line of the inside of that bottom right back along here. So that's approximately where the transom is going to get cut off at, because this whole thing is attached, comes down and attaches onto the bottom, and so everything needs to be cut off flush with the level of this knee, because it's all setting on the bottom there. So we don't want to put any nails like down here, because we're going to have to cut back through this transom. We'll end up cutting through the nail. So the closest we probably want to go is about there, and then maybe another nail there. Maybe I'll even go up like, say an inch off where the cut is going to come. And then we'll split the difference on the other one. Alright, and for this, the one mistake we don't want to make is grabbing for the other drill. Because I use the next size larger drill to drill for the drill for these rivets, because I didn't want to have to fight with hammering them through the entire transom knee and through the bottom. Okay. Yeah, and it looks like so we got enough meat in the knee where we're not going to break the nails out onto the inside of the boat. We got the drill set at the right depth. Putting both of these nails in pretty much parallel, pretty much perpendicular to the surface of the transom. A lot of times when you're putting in nails, you'll want to splay them in different directions, but whereas this is oak and we're not going to really be able to sink the heads on these nails, they're going to end up being we want them nice and flush with the transom, so yeah, it's probably the way to go anyway. And these nails really don't rely on the geometry of multiple nails going in at different angles to make a strong joint. These nails are much more reliant on the annular rings, the mechanic of that, those barbs. Okay, great. So we just basically made a transom. That's the piece. And if I can bring it on over here. I'll bring it on over here and see if I can't show you guys how it's going to go. Alright, so we still got the little end hanging down, which we're going to need to cut off, of course. But yeah, this is pretty much, you can see how it's hitting the bottom and keeping the knee from coming down flush. But that's pretty much how it's going to go. And yeah, if I hang it off, hang it past the bottom, so there you go, you can see how the knee is what really holds this transom in place until we get the planking on. So yeah, I'll bring this over to the bench, make a real quick cut with the hand saw to take that knob off.